house ramp. You can turn off.
So are they mostly have most of the ceremony outside?
Yes, so I will introduce you to the ceremony area first, make our way to the pre-drinks areas, and then go into the venue.
Okay.
So I'll basically just run you through a typical wedding, normally how it takes place, and just kind of give you some ideas.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess we'll just make their way through the same path that we just took. And then this is the sunken garden, our ceremony area.
Yeah.
So most of the ceremonies are held down here.
Yes.
It's quite an interesting concept to have a sunken garden, right?
The nice thing about the sunken garden is, you know, this is the Western Cape. We're quite famous for the winds.
Yeah.
So even though there is a strict wind blowing on the day, considering we're sunken in and we have these trees around us,
Yes.
you don't feel that intense wind down here. So that's kind of nice as well. One of the other things I must say, during summer, this area can get quite warm. You might have noticed it's an astroturf, plastic-based material.
Yeah.
Plastic reflects the sunlight, so it does get quite warm down
Yeah.
here. So in general, people do opt for maybe just some simple wooden structures with white draping covering the
Yeah.
chairs, just kind of create some shade for all the guests. Otherwise, a cheaper alternative is parasols. Basically, those little umbrellas, just put that on every chair for every person to use, basically.
Right.
But yeah, different various ideas. So we can seat up to 300 people inside the sunken garden. I'm not too sure what their totals or guest amount was.
They don't know,
No
given that
definite
it's
totals
going
yet.
to be people coming from
Yeah.
Canada who will come. I'm thinking more 100.
Okay, well that'll fit easily
Yeah.
inside of our venues.
Yeah.
So I'll show you the venue that would be most applicable to them as well. That would be our main venue.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment.
But you maybe should show me, like, if they go bigger, what would...
Yeah,
what-
the main venue is our biggest. It can go up to 300 guests
Yes.
for that. So yeah, you've got the stage in front, bride and groom elevated from the rest, so all the attention will be solely just on you guys. I do have to say also, we are a green farm. Our restaurant is actually the first and only green star rated restaurant in South Africa. So we're fairly strict when it comes to fire hazards and smoking. So we do have a non-smoking sign there, so absolutely no smoking is allowed in the sunken garden, and mainly it's just because of the astroturf.
Yes.
It burns very quickly.
And who wants people smoking in your weddings?
No one will be smoking during the ceremony in any case.
So do
but
they have to get their own officiant or whatever you call
Yes.
it? Yes. Yeah.
So for rainy weather, we do have a company called Stretch Inc. that provides us with a bid wind tent. You might notice around the garden we have these hooks, so that is what the tent is connected to. It is one that can only fit on the sunken garden, so we are able to order that at short notice. So if we do notice a day or two beforehand that it might rain, we can just get a quotation from that company, send that through to you, and you give the go ahead or not.
Wow, that's a nice alternative, eh?
All the power, obviously the bride needs to walk on music, so all the power, there's a green power box right behind the sunken garden. All the power can just be sourced from there.
Even if you're on load shedding.
We have 3 on-site generators. It takes about 10 seconds to switch over to the generators. Powers the entire estate.
Wow.
Well, that's good. Good planning.
So after ceremony, obviously the pre-drinks will then occur. You can just head over to the lawn. So, you know, the bride's been fashionably late. People are fed up with sitting. So they want to stand around, be a little bit casual, social. And obviously after ceremony, they're going to go inside, sign the register. They're going to be bombarded with confetti afterwards. And then they're going to go wherever and take some photos. And during that time, the guests need to be entertained. And that is where and on the deck, where that can happen. So pre-drinks, a lot of different ideas. Something nice to get the guests a little bit active. Lawn games have been thrown out there at the end of the lawn. Just kind of entertain the guests. You can set up bars outside here, tables with snacks if you want, if the budget allows. Bring in couches, lounge pockets, set up a few couches, create some points of interest for the guests, some comfortable seating. Otherwise, regarding the snacks, our waiters just roam around the guests with the canapes on the boards, and the guests can just grab off of the boards, unless you want those tables with the snacks set out.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people actually do enjoy having the ceremony on the lawn and the pre-drinks in the sunken garden, having it kind of vice versa. So it does create for beautiful photos. You've got the dam behind you, you've got the
Yes.
mountain range. all the attention might not be on the bridal couple. Lovely views, people might want to look around and such.
Right.
And when you do have the ceremony here and pre-drinks in the sunken garden, people enjoy smoking during pre-drinks, and that is not allowed in the sunken garden. So that's the only thing to consider. The lawn area is our designated smoking area, and then a specific area in the parking as well.
And there's a restaurant, is it here?
It is. It's connected to the building. So you see this deck over here. This is the
Yeah.
banqueting deck.
Yeah.
The deck on the other side is the deck of the restaurant.
Okay, but you won't be like this with me.
Not at all. Once we get inside, I'll explain how it's blocked off from the event side. For the dam, we'll have to leave the fishing rods at home. The jet skis and lilas will have to stay as well. The lawn, if the bride or groom would like to make a grand entrance in a helicopter, this is actually one of our helipads. Consider the helipad. So
On that lawn.
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yesterday, a few guests had lunch at the restaurant and they landed the helicopter on the lawn. So we have had quite a few grooms, especially, do the helicopter option.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna go down that well, but anyway.
For the brides, they opt more for the horse and carriage. So obviously, you pass the first building on this road that you came up with. The first building is the stables, and we do have a horse and carriage that normally the bride gets dropped at the stables. She takes the carriage, comes to the main building, kind of as her grand
Wow.
entrance. More than welcome to move through to the deck. The dam is also man-made. Now, considering that we're a green farm, we're not allowed to have air conditioning. But we do have air conditioning, just not the normal type.
Yeah.
So the cold water of the dam runs through our underground pipes below the building, below the parking area. The entirety of the bottom of the parking area is a plantation. So the cold water of the dam runs through the pipe, runs through the plantation, big chillers in the plantation, cools down the air, cold air comes through our vents. So not the normal type of air conditioning.
Great.
So this is the pre-drinks deck. Normally that lasts half an hour to an hour. People casually start moving over to the deck. Just makes it very convenient for everyone to move from the deck straight into the venue, as opposed to 100 people on the lawn then coming around into the main venue.
Yeah.
It does take quite some time.
So is it the deck or the lawn?
Both.
Okay.
Both will be available to you. In a lot of cases, people are kind of split up. So you'll have a big group on the lawn, big group here on the deck. You can have that same type of lounge pockets or furniture that you had on the lawn, you can have on the deck as well. You can set up the bars here on the deck. Obviously, just no lawn games would be able to work over here. So the fire pits, now they can be lit. We do have to charge for them though. 50 Rand per pit per hour. So for both pits to be lit, 100 Rand per hour. You can just tell us, okay, switch it on at 8 p.m. up until midnight. We include that into your quote. Otherwise, if on the evening it starts getting chilly, you can just tell us, okay, listen, let's switch it on now. We just take notes of the time that we switched it on and off.
So that it's a gas fire?
It is.
Yeah.
So if it's a hot day as well, the top part of the deck in between the two fire pits are awnings. So one touch of a button, the awnings just close, create some nice shade here in the middle. And we do have the misters spraying at the top.
Oh, really? Misters. Coming out of here, though.
Yeah. So sufficient power plugs on the deck as well. Normally during pre-drinks we do have some background music, so the DJ just has a few speakers, maybe 1 or 2 speakers outside on the deck just for some background music. And we do have a power plug in every third concrete pillar as well as in each fire pit, so enough power plugs.
And the DJ, do you have somebody you recommend that work with you? Or?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We've got an extensive list of coordinators, absolutely anything that you would need for a wedding, from stationery, printed menus to tablecloths to sound engineers, musicians, anything that you would possibly need for a wedding, we've got contact details for. So decor items, something as simple as a tablecloth is something that we cannot provide. It's not possible for us to have 30 different colors of tablecloths to create or cater for everyone's decor needs. So any decor related item is something that is brought out from the outside. But yeah, as I said, we've got contact details for absolutely anything that you would need.
So this is big for a small wedding. What do you think?
So the smallest group we've had in here were 45 people. Basically what they did is they halved the entire venue. So they had draping covering from the floor up until the ceiling. The back of the venue wasn't used. They only used the front. It doesn't influence the venue price. That was just their personal preference, just kind of
So
create a smaller space. But for 100 guests, 100 to 150 is quite an average total for our weddings here. And 100 people can fill the space up quite nicely. So a very typical layout, just kind of give you an idea. That is the service entrance door. So all of the heavy equipment, all of the setup will happen through that door. As soon as setup is done, that door closes, the blinds go down, that door is not used for the entire evening. So the bridal table is usually situated in front of that door, nice in the middle of the venue, in the middle of all the guests. Big dance floor in the middle. If you have 100 guests, you have this space for a nice big dance floor. Big dance floor in the middle. The DJs like being situated right next to the dance floor, especially on this side. Remember I said they might have a few speakers on the outside, so if they are situated next to these doors, they're nice and close to their own speakers that are situated outside. So dance floor in the middle, DJ next to the dance floor. These tables are included in the venue hire as well as those white chairs. So they are 10-seater tables. So if we're speaking about 100 guests, that's a minimum of 10 tables. But it's not necessary to put 10 people around each table. So 4 on each side and 2 heads, that's 10 people. Let's exclude the heads and only put 3 on each side, 6 people per table. So now we can even bump the tables up to like 15 or 16 tables. So dance floor in the middle, 15 tables, let's put 8 on that side, 7 on that side. This does fill the space up quite nicely. At the end of the day, there might still be some big open space in front of the bar, which is good. We can fill that up a bit. We have 4 wine barrels, and those cocktail tables that you see at the back of there, we've got 4 of them as well, with 8 chairs. So we can scatter that in front of the bar. As an example, when someone stands up from his table, goes and gets a beverage at the bar, he doesn't necessarily want to go back to his table and sit there.
Sometimes you get stuck at your table.
Create some points of interest in front of the bar. So if you perhaps had some couches outside, it is possible to bring those couches in and just place them in the venue as well. So someone grabs a drink by the bar, enjoys the beverage in front of the bar
So
instead
just
of going
encouraging
back.
people to mix and mingle.
Exactly. So have them stand up a bit, have them socialize in front of the bar, just create some extra points of interest instead of them having to go back to the table. So even if
you
they
feel by the end of the evening you've talked to a lot of different people.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, a little bit of extra open space, small items like a small table to fill that space does work magic.
So I'm hearing noise, like a machine noise.
That's just the. But when everything's off, it is quite quiet over here. Even if the restaurant is packed and busy, you won't even be able to hear the restaurant. The only noise pollution, if I can call that, is if the restaurant guests hear the music on this side. But even if the people are, dancing and singing, they don't even hear that. So that's not.
Because I saw you had like sound restriction.
That is for outside specifically, because it is quite an open valley. One of the oldest founding farms in South Africa. If you enter the main gate, you turn right towards us. If you turn left, that is their property, and it's kind of the same valley. So sound does travel quite a lot, and we just kind of keep our neighbors in consideration when it comes to that.
So
but on the inside,
we personally don't like loud music, but do you find that the sound restrictions, that young people are okay with it?
yeah.
It's not like I keep saying, turn it
The
down.
volume of our sound restriction isn't that low, so you are still able to hear the music. Obviously, for pre-drinks, you have background music. You don't have blaring music during pre-drinks. So outside, that usually isn't a problem. On the inside, past 10 p.m., pump the music up as loud as you'd like. The kitchen closes on the restaurant, so we don't have to worry about them anymore. Just don't shatter the windows. So we find with sound on the inside. Just on the outside, background music, it's about 30, 35 decibels, so it's not that loud in any case. So generally, that isn't a problem.
And talk to us about the bar, how it's organized, and what the costs are, and that kind of thing.
So when we create a quote, we have just an estimate that we work with. I believe it's 150 or 200 rand per person for beverages. So 150 in general is quite enough for a person to enjoy beverages on the evening. So we just work off of that certain amount. But we are only able to get that set total when we have your final numbers. Regarding glassware as well, we don't have any banqueting glassware. So what we have to do is we have to take a look at your beverage list. The beverages that you choose to serve on the night mixed with the amount of guests. For instance, a Coke uses a different glass than a beer. So we'll have to see what glasses and which beverages you choose mixed in with the amount of guests, and then we just order the glasses
And
accordingly.
that's on top of the 150 rand.
Yes. So obviously the beverages that you choose comes to a total amount or a certain amount, and the glasses that we need to order to accommodate all the beverages and the amount of guests also comes to a certain amount. Regarding bar tabs and so, you are able to prepay bar tabs. So let's say you feel generous and want to put a 50,000 rand bar tab. Then all the beverages that people go and get at the bar just goes onto the bar tab. You are also able to say, okay, I only want alcoholic beverages on the bar tab. Soft drinks need to be cash. So you are able to determine what goes on the bar tab and what doesn't. Every 5,000 rand or so, we'll just come to you and say, listen, you've reached your first 5,000. Listen, you are now at 10, you are now at 15. As soon as we get to your limit, you need to inform us, okay, would you like to extend the bar or would you like to stop and go over to full cash bar? If you do extend, let's say for instance, you go 10,000 rand over the limit, you need to pay that 10,000 rand on the evening before you leave. We cannot let you pay afterwards. That has to be settled on the night. So that's in regards to our bar. Our liquor license only allows us to trade up until 2 a.m. So if you do extend up until 4, which is our maximum for extension, just do keep in mind the last 2 hours you won't be able to use the bar. So we prefer our guests to end their functions at midnight, but if you would like to extend per hour, it's a 4,000 rand surcharge. So you can do the math, how many ever hours you choose to extend, just times that by 4,000 rand. And also that amount needs to be settled on the evening. You are able to prepay extension as well. So if you know that you're going to party a lot, we want to extend up until 2, you can prepay that. If you only stay until 1, we'll refund the last hour to you.
Do they usually designate somebody, like say Rod, for you to approach regarding the cost? Because you don't want to bundle the ride.
Exactly. A lot of the time, the brother of the bride or the brother of the groom does the payments and handles all the finances. You don't want to bother the bride.
Just on the night get carried away and think, let's party the night away.
We'll have a designated person. We'll also have the coordinator. They'll know who the designated person is. If the coordinator goes off-site for some reason, we'll just know who that person is, and then we'll just be in contact with you.
So there's some, you know how people talk about a wedding planner? Is that separate from the coordinator?
Yes.
Yeah.
So a wedding planner is preferable. It is advisable. If you were a group of less than 30, then we wouldn't worry about a coordinator. But anything over 30, you do need a coordinator, and that is just to ensure that your wedding does run smoothly.
A coordinator or a planner? Are they separate or
coordinator, planner? It's the same kind of thing. You get on the day planners, you get full coordinators. It kind of depends on who you choose at the end of the day. But as I said, we have contact details for all of the coordinators that have worked here. They are excellent. You can just present your budget to them, and from the top of their heads, they can on the spot determine, okay, let's maybe use these people for decor, these people for sound, and so on. So excellent coordinators to choose from. But as an example, like we will have one of our members here, who's just going to be behind the scenes, especially with the food service. So the coordinator, something as simple as speeches. Now, we are fairly proud on our food service. We do not let the food get cold. So sometimes speeches do go on for a little bit longer than planned. So we'll have the coordinator on the floor liaising with us behind the scenes. So telling us, okay, listen, the speeches are going on a little bit longer. Let's push the main meals with 10 minutes. So our chef knows, okay, let's hold for another 10 minutes, ensuring that the food doesn't get cold and waits on the pass. So the coordinator does make things very easy on the day. You don't want anyone from the family stressing about certain arrangements that need to happen on the day. Coordinators really take the stress off of you guys. We have had couples that say, okay, so my mother is actually a coordinator. She wants to coordinate the wedding, but she's also going to be a guest on the wedding, and that does create some problems. The coordinator at the end of the day doesn't want to do the coordination job. She wants to be a guest on the wedding, and then we have to take over that responsibility, which isn't really our responsibility. So long story short, coordinators do help.
Yes.
So with the cash bar, so do you let guests know, like in an invitation or something, that at some point it'll become a cash bar?
Yes.
Okay.
It is also possible to print menus. We have had dozens of times menus being placed on the bar itself. So when guests come to the bar, they see the beverages that are available. If you have certain beverages on the tab, that can just be indicated on the tab, and you can have a section saying cash beverages or whatever, and just a list of cash beverages. You can also have, if you have, let's say, close family members, VIP members that have, let's say, a specific bottle of whiskey or something that's only designated or allocated to those 10 people, we'll just be informed, okay, only these 10 people, maybe the groom's brother and, close family members, only they are allowed to have of that.
And then they come up to the bar and just ask for that drink, and then they provide it with it. Okay.
So just in regards to the rest of the main venue, these beams in the middle have been designed to support a few tons. So if you would like to have some heavy ceiling installations to hang from the ceiling, you're more than welcome to do so. In the past, one of the Springbok rugby players, JJ Engelbrecht, they covered from the front of the building straight through to the back in floral and greenery, just under 1 million rands worth of floral that they suspended. It took about 5 hours for that structure to get to the ceiling. But if your budget allows, you can go crazy with decor. In regards to lighting, we have the normal downlights. They can dim from 1% up until 100 to create any kind of atmosphere. But in general, couples do enjoy the chandeliers or naked bulbs hanging from the ceiling. But at the end of the day, regarding your budget, each to his own. But we do have sufficient lighting on the inside of the venue. Regarding sound, now we do have the integrated surround sound system, but it's mostly used for conferences. So we do have a screen and projector in front, which if you'd like to make use of it, you're more than welcome to do so. We have a mic to go with it, and this system is perfect for that purpose, for the mic. When it comes to music, you want loud bass music to dance to. This system isn't really going to give you that effect. So the DJ, as I mentioned, situated normally next to the dance floor, they have all the equipment, all the speakers set up, smoke machines, strobe lights, colorful lights, going crazy with the entire system. So they can just sort you out with proper sound instead of using this building. And we can also not allow any DJ to connect his system to our building. If they have a faulty, maybe a USB drive with a virus on it, connects to our system, damages our system, it is quite expensive. So in general, the DJ just has all his equipment set up and just full blast with the music.
What is this floor? Is it stone? My daughter's a dancer, so she will ask in case they do like a dance number.
Okay, I can actually find out by our maintenance team. I'm not exactly sure exactly.
Some kind of
stone. Yeah.
But I'd be able to find out, because I do believe we still have a few extra tiles, and the name is on the box.
Yeah, I think it seems pretty safe.
She just needs to know if it's wood or plastic or stone or whatever.
No, it's a proper tile. I believe it's 2,400 per tile. Yeah. It's a decent tile. We can head into the conservatory.
Yeah.
So the conservatory is our smallest venue option. If you were a guest total of 50 to 60, this would have been perfect for you. You can just imagine in hindsight, 10 seating tables, 5 tables fitting inside here with a small dance floor. It is quite comfortable.
Is that with this open?
It opens all the way, yeah.
Right.
So I believe they're prepping for a tasting on this side today, but you can more or less see the extent and the length of the room. So if you hire the main venue, this room comes included at no extra cost. If you were a small group and you only used this as the reception area and you wanted to get married here, you would actually have to hire the sunken garden at an additional price.
Okay.
If you hire the main venue, this entire half of the estate becomes yours. You can have the ceremony in the sunken garden, go crazy on the deck, party on the lawn, and this room is included. So basically what this room is used for, if you don't have any ideas for this room, basically what we do is we partition it off into 3 equal spaces. Furthest away from all the guests in this part will be all our service staff, so the waiters and waitresses. Their bags will be put down there, they'll be there for the duration of the evening. Even if they make a noise, the guests won't even hear them. In the middle part, our service providers, so DJs, band members, coordinators, the important people working at your wedding, they'll be seated inside here, also receive their main course inside here. This part, if we close it off here, this part closest to all the guests. I always make use of kids as an example. Kids don't always enjoy sitting with the parents, so this has been converted into like a kiddies room. Nannies have been brought in. Once again, we do have contact details for those. Nannies have been brought in to look after the kids, bean bags, screens with PlayStations to entertain the kids. Otherwise, a photo booth, dessert room, various different ideas. So you can play around with ideas for this room, but if you don't have a specific idea, it's always good for us to have extra space to use for whatever purpose we have.
So if it's a photo booth, then you've got recommendations on people who set those things up. Of
course. Retro Photo Booth is one of the companies. They have a lovely little black, almost like a, I don't want to say gazebo, but it's like a structure that you walk into. It's nice and dark inside. They're professional photography. So no, they're very well sorted. And normally they do set up inside of this room, sometimes on the deck.
Okay.
Just in regards to the restaurant. So this passage over here connects us straight through to the restaurant. None of the restaurant guests are allowed in this passage, and the waiters as well. They do not come to this side, the restaurant waiters. So these 2 glass doors will be locked at all times, ensuring that no one comes from the restaurant to this side and vice versa. On the other side of that glass door is a disabled toilet. So if someone does struggle with stairs or has a disability, we can just open these. Person can go through. As soon as they come back, we'll just lock this up again. So the top half of the estate is completely blocked off by these 2 glass doors. I'll just briefly take you downstairs. So we've got 2 sets of restrooms, one for banqueting and then one for the art gallery, the tasting room and the restaurant. So for the banqueting, the men's right below the stairs. The ladies, here we see the golden sign for the ladies, so just around the corner we find the ladies. So this glass door will stay closed at all times. It will not open or close for the entire evening. So this is now the bottom part of the estate being blocked off. So none of the restaurant guests will be able to come through here. In front of the building as well, by the parking, our security guards are stationed there. They will also make sure that none of the restaurant guests tries to come through the front and vice versa. I can take you through to this side. So our restaurant is actually also one of our venue options. It is just very limited in availability and can get quite expensive. So the restaurant is closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. So from Mondays to Thursdays is when the restaurant is available to hire. So Mondays and Tuesdays, because it's closed, it's just normal venue fee for the restaurant. But just to ensure that we do not lose any revenue on the restaurant, we are open for lunch and dinner. So if you were to have your wedding on a Wednesday or a Thursday, we would have to close for lunch and dinner, but we would have to charge you for closing for lunch and dinner. 25,000 Rand per seating. So that's 25,000 Rand for lunch and 25 for dinner. That's 50,000 Rand on top of normal venue hire. So as I said, can get quite expensive, but very limited in availability as well. So during the evening of their wedding, there will have to be a few off-limit areas just to ensure that none of, having big groups of people coming to the restaurant wanting to do tastings while we have clients or maybe wandering around the art gallery. So anything past those glass doors that I mentioned, so the art gallery, tasting room and a restaurant, if it's not used by you guys, it would become off-limits.
And the wedding timing, what is the usual, what time do they have the ceremony? And
so normally guest arrival is about 2:30, 3 p.m. and then ceremony starts at about 3:30, maybe 4. 4 might be pushing it. But yeah, between 3 to 4 ceremony time, and then about 6:30 people into the venue. So let's say ceremony starts at 3, pre-drinks occurs at 4, and then between 4 and 6 is pre-drinks, 6 o'clock people into the.
And you've got canapes happening in that.
Yeah, but of course coordinators as well, they'll be able to give a few suggestions depending on how long their photo shoot is going, so they'll also be able to give suggestions and then just communicate with us as well. We will receive the full timeline just to also be aware of what is going on at what time.
Well, it sounds like you guys have thought of everything. Right?
We tried.
Any other questions?
Do you have a card or can you give me your name?
Yes, I can actually take your email address down.
Yeah.